Gonna let this sink in for a second. Clint Eastwood, who's in his 90s, is still acting and directing in movies. Whatever you think about this film, you have to admit that's impressive because, come on, 90 years old, I'm gonna be sleeping all the time. Well, I do now, so. What is up, big fans? Welcome back to my channel. That's not true. I don't sleep. I'm always watching movies and TV shows, and today's brand new film, Cry Macho, is out in theaters and on HBO Max. I am clearly out of town right now, but I still got up early, watched it this morning, and I'm bringing you guys a spoiler-free review. If you like this video, let me know down below, and let's get into it. So, Mike, a one-time rodeo star and washed-up horse breeder, takes a job from an ex-boss to bring the man's young son home from Mexico. And his mission at the beginning, we're kind of thrown into it, right? He's taking this job to bring home this man's son away from his alcoholic mother, and on their journey, Eastwood's character finds redemption through teaching this boy what it means to be a good man, and kind of the tagline here is the story of being lost and found, and obviously this film is going to run through the relationship between Eastwood's character and this young boy, and that's exactly what it does, to be honest with you. And I will admit, right, it's a very simple script, and really, it's one of the most subdued movies, not only I've watched this year, but that I've watched in a long, long time, right? I've seen people all over Twitter calling this movie, like, sleepy and extremely slow and kind of boring, and I will admit, at times, there isn't much happening in terms of action and on-screen intensity that's going to make you sit on the edge of your seat and be locked in from beginning to end, but I do like the idea of kind of stripping down a couple of these character tropes, especially Eastwood's character. It's like, what kind of lead is he known for the most? Well, it's your classic Western, grizzled, gritty, tough, but at the same time, down-to-earth character that he is now saying goodbye to, in a sense, right? We had his film, I believe it was called The Mule, that really was his way of saying goodbye to a certain character trope that he has found himself in before. Whereas this character trope, that we've also seen Eastwood do countless times, this feels like his goodbye to this world, in a sense, and approaching the movie in that way, and that's not the way everyone's going to approach it, clearly, because you may watch this and say, well, I just saw this recently. I've seen one or two movies within the last year and a half that have a very similar premise. I mean, you could even say the most recent Rambo movie, the story structure of protecting someone, maybe not going out for revenge, because that's not what Eastwood's character is doing in this movie. Well, again, it's all kind of reliant on that emotion that you get from the bond that is formed between these two characters. And Eduardo Minette, who plays our young character, has to kind of keep up with Eastwood in a sense, and I don't mean physically keep up, because, you know, Eastwood, he knows kind of exactly the kind of movie that he wants to make here. He's not trying to be an action star. He's basically throwing one punch or hopping up on top of a horse, right? It's much more so about the mental struggle and turmoil that he's been through, along with what he's trying to do now, getting this boy out of this situation, taking him back to a place to where at first it feels like he belongs, but as this journey progresses, not to spoil anything, there are more things that come to light, and you see that bond begin to grow, and therefore other bonds, they become more strained because of the mission and the journey that Mike is on. And like I said at the beginning of this review, we are really thrown into it because we don't get a lot with Mike, and this is really Eastwood's style of filmmaking. And I say a surface level not being a detriment on this film or a lot of his other movies, because I think he's an extremely incredible filmmaker at times. Not every movie has work, but surface level in the way that throws you into this movie. We immediately get this mission. We don't know a lot about the connection between Mike and Howard, but eventually we get that establishment of, oh, here's how I know him. I owe him something because of this, and that story kind of opens up more within one specific relationship that I really enjoyed. Now, my issues with this movie come more so just from the simplicity. Like I said, it is a simple premise, therefore not a lot of action happens, and I do see a lot of people watching this and just going, oh, so that's what this is. Not bad, and I don't see a lot of people watching this movie and thinking it's all that bad, right? But there are just some things that don't quite work about what it's trying to do. As the dog is, hello, there's a dog barking in there. I also thought some of the performances were just a bit off. Some of the side characters, some situations that Clint Eastwood kind of finds himself in within this movie, they're a bit awkward, especially when you look at his age and what characters are wanting him to do and how some of those don't quite fit with what they've established for this character. And I'm not entirely sure whether to put that on the script or not, but I just don't know. I don't know if they worked for what this movie was trying to go for. And I like Dwight Yoakam, but there is something off about his performance in this movie, at least at the beginning. I guess I warmed up to him as I went along. It just didn't quite sit right with me. And I feel that way about some of the dialogue in here as well. There are lines that really spell out what our characters are thinking. Now, I had no problem with how blunt Eastwood's character is in this movie. Someone's telling him a story and they're like, "So do you want to know why this happened to me?" And he just goes, "Not really. Sounds like my wife. She's really blunt. Honey, if you're watching, I love you." He doesn't let the kid drink tequila when he's with him. He's like, "When you're with your dad, you could drink battery acid for all I care, but you're not drinking when you're with me." And I love, because that does feel like someone of that age, the way that they would act. Again, not trying to do too much, not trying to be too physical. I mean, like I said, he throws a punch and, be careful, Clint, all right? Be careful what you're trying to do, but I love the fact that the guy's going for it here. Maybe not with the script, but just as a character, really going for it. And I like the simplicity of this movie. I'm a sucker for Clint Eastwood. I'm a sucker for movies like this when there's quality there, and I do believe there's some quality within this film. Again, it didn't blow me away, but I was actually surprised with the overall lack of marketing. I didn't know if it was going to be a good film or not, but I would consider this a solid outing for Eastwood. Before I give you guys my score, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video and sticking with me, as clearly I'm out of town. There's something about the simplicity of Cry Macho that works well here. Eastwood never tries to do too much with the story, which can feel underwhelming, but his subdued performance is more than solid. I'm going a 65% with my score. If you are an Eastwood fan, I believe you want to watch this film because it does kind of harken back to other roles, but again, the simplicity of it all worked for me, not going to work for everyone. Let me know down below, are you watching this on HBO Max or in a theater this weekend? And what is your favorite Clint Eastwood movie? Stay with me, guys. I am everywhere over the next couple of days, and then eventually making my way to New York for the film festival. We'll get into all of that, but that's where I'm seeing Dune, so that's exciting. I'll see you guys soon.